La Resortera.
All right, here we are, another week in the Pura Vida Perspectives podcast. I have, Jairo, my co-host, and today we have a very special guest, Richard Bexon. We were just talking about how we're going to introduce Richard Bexon because it's actually kind of difficult. He's got his hands in a lot of different pots. And what did you say, Jairo? What is that word? Actually, I don't know what that word is. I just didn't tell you till now.
He is the soila.
The soila. What is that?
Soila in Costa Rica is soy la que lava, soy la que plancha, soy la que limpia, soy la que cocina. So he is the guy that does everything in his business.
Yep.
Welcome, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Explain to us, what is it that you do?
Well, we do a variety of different stuff. You know, I've always been a believer of just listening to my client and they'll tell us kind of where to go. So I'm constantly listening to them when we start working with them and kind of getting an idea of like, what's the difficulties? How do we add value? So, we started off doing kind of like investment tours in Costa Rica. And then from that, a client bought a piece of land one day and was like, hey, like, what do I do now? And we were like, that's a good question. And so then we've started to say, hey, we'll do project management for you. So we help them define with the architect and we go through all that. So we do project management from start to finish.
Okay.
We also inspect on constructions as well. We still help people invest in Costa Rica as well.
Okay.
We also do a lot of our own projects as well. I have an investment fund. So the investment fund basically develops things and we have investors from some of our clients who have now become investors in our projects. And then also, in a nutshell, my dream or my goal here is what I'm doing is creating like unique boutique developments of like anywhere from like 6 to 12 homes throughout Costa Rica that people can invest into. And don't have to worry, basically, that like they're investing into something that's not right, or that they're investing into something that like is not going to go up in value, etc.
Okay.
But like my background comes from more tourism development, but really it's just about getting things done, dude. And getting things done in Costa Rica is not easy. So we just help people get things done and make sure it's done properly. And usually it's from the idea of like, hey, I want to invest in Costa Rica, buy real estate in Costa Rica, all the way through to whatever their idea may be. And that can be a business, it can be a home, it can be apartments, vacation rentals. We won't touch big developments. I won't do towers. I won't do large hotels. If I don't think it's right, I'll tell the client that, like, look, I turned down a 40-room hotel the other day in Nosada just because I'm like, look, I don't think if I was you, I wouldn't hire us.
Okay.
I would get your own engineer on site full time. So I'm just very honest and direct with people, which, sometimes, especially in Costa Rica, gets me in trouble, man.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you. You told me before we started, you've been in Costa Rica for 20 years?
20 years, yeah.
Where are you coming from?
From England, yeah. So even though Brits ask me sometimes if I sound Australian, this is what happens when a Brit spends 20 years outside of Costa Rica with Americans and speaking Spanish.
And how did you end up in Costa Rica, man?
I was studying accounting investments, very boring degree. Didn't get me the ladies. I should have done art. My friends got that. But anyway, I was doing that. And then we have a year in our third year where we had to go out and basically work so that we came back, finished our final year, and then we'd have work experience to go and get a job. I had the choice between going to ExxonMobil, counting oil barrels, or basically go to the States. And I didn't know where I was going in the States, really. I mean, I interviewed for the job. I just didn't really understand where Minnesota was and where northern Minnesota up by the border was. Like, it's 5 hours north of Twin Cities.
How cold it was going to be.
You know what? England is worse, man. And not from a cold, but England's damp cold. Like, it doesn't get freezing. Like, because when stuff's freezing, it's dry. So it's kind of nice.
Okay.
But England is like damp, 0, 1
What
degrees.
part of England are you from?
Just outside London.
Okay.
But my father was in the military, so we moved around quite a bit. But yeah, so anyway, I went there and I met a Costa Rican lady. And
there you go.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
She had no idea what she was doing there. She was on a work and travel program. And she was 21, I was 20, so she'd buy me my beer. Because in the States I couldn't buy beer, of course. But yeah, and then, fast forward 23, 24 years, and we've been married 20 years, have 2 kids, and live here in Costa Rica. So I came here full time in 2005. I had no idea what I was going to do, and yeah, I took a job in a tourism company, took a franchise of that business, took it to Europe. It got big. They bought that business. I became a shareholder in the main business. It was very small back then. We were like 15 people. Today, it's probably Latin America's largest luxury travel company. Here in Costa Rica, it's known as Costa Rican Vacations and the Namwe Travel Group. And yeah, so I'm still integrally involved in that because during my time in that business, I was able to see developments happen, which ones did it right and which ones didn't wrong. And just really, I think Costa Rica is getting a little, the word in Spanish, sometimes words in Spanish are so much better than English, like stancar, which is like stale.
Yeah.
Like the new stuff being done here,
It's not moving. It's not.
it's not innovating, if that makes sense. It's not new. It's not funky. It's like, it's not what it used to be. That, you know, I mean, the beauty of Costa Rica, I think, is that it's been boutique and kind of natural. And now we start having the Waldorfs and the Ritz-Carltons coming in. And I get it, because that's the only way you can make money, because boutique hotels, like, it's so difficult to make money, man.
Yeah.
You know, I owned a boutique hotel, so I can tell you, it ain't easy.
So you mentioned something at the beginning. You know, you advise people.
Yep.
And doing business in Costa Rica, we mentioned on previous podcasts, it's a little bit complicated.
Oh, yeah.
with all
easy.
He said it. It's a sunny place for shady people.
Yes.
And that's true. And I've said it before, and it's absolutely true.
Yeah, and all the bureaucracy, la burocracia, with all the paperwork. And
But you know what? Like we build, I don't know, anywhere from like 20 to 30 homes for clients a year, individual homes. They're amazed that we can get a home built in 18 months from start to finish. Like, because in the States, sometimes it can take years, you know, with all the bureaucracy in the States, because
it's
quicker
more
here.
time.
It's quicker here.
It's quicker here.
Wow, I would never thought of that.
Well, because of all, you think we have bureaucracy here. Like, there is ways, like, there is bureaucracy in Costa Rica that they say, look, the way to go from A to C is you have to go A, B, and C. But really, it's not. It's just direct to A to C. You just don't know how, like, you haven't done it enough to figure out that you can go from A to C. You think you need to go A, B, C, but you just go straight from A to C. And you're not breaking any laws. It's just, that's the way it's done. You know, I mean, like going into the municipality and talking to the engineer who's going to give you permits so that they truly understand your project and what it is. You know, and I can go down the rabbit hole on all that, you know, all that stuff. But like half the time, this is a country of relationships and network.
Yes.
You know? And I think that's all the case in business, but it certainly applies here. You know, and it's getting better. But I mean, as you said there, you know, I mean, it's a sunny place for shady people, and you know, that's kind of the beauty of it, but the downside, if that makes sense. Because if you are investing here, like your investment's going to be only as good as the team that's on it. And sometimes people are very like penny wise, pound foolish here in Costa Rica. Of like, I don't want to pay for a consultant to do something, but I'm willing to spend $1 million on something and then realize I can't do the project that I want to do. And it's like, dude, like if you'd have just spent $2,000 or $3,000 at the beginning here, you'd have we
would have saved you a lot of money.
A lot of money and time. You know?
Yeah. What's drawn me to you guys, like originally, whenever I heard about you, and then in working with some of your people on your team, is like the ethics.
Yep.
And that's something that I know Heido and I have in common is the ethics, working with the people. You know, we don't want people to come and have a bad experience. And and working with your team, like with Jake, and I mean, their ethics are fantastic. And I love that what you guys do is to protect people and spend a little bit to save a lot. You know?
And I mean, look, at the end of the day is they get their money back a lot of the time. So it's just, I mean, we're like, I always say that like, we're just a tiger rock that keeps the tigers away. You know, of like the rock doesn't really keep the tigers away, but like they still think it does. So we're just that tiger rock, and just like it's like a safety blanket of like, you know, I hear it all the time. Oh man, you know, the southern airport's coming in, and I'm like, don't believe it, guys. Like, unless anything happens here, and until it's done, don't believe anything. Even when they start building, don't believe it until it's fully done. Because, you know, there are tons of cemeteries of projects all over this country, unfortunately. You know, because I always say if like, look, you have to understand if Costa Rica's playing checkers and you're playing chess in the Western world. Okay. From above, it looks the same. But once you start seeing how the parts move, they move very differently, man. You know, and so that like when someone says something here, like it's a different game and a different culture, you know. But that's the beauty of it. That's why we're all here, right?
Yeah. Keeps life interesting.
Yeah.
What have been some, I guess, big pitfalls that you've seen people fall into that maybe you've almost had to kind of swoop in and not maybe save them from, or kind of you seem to clean up some messes sometimes? What have been some of the things that maybe so our viewers can think, okay, I need to look out for this? Like maybe they would have never thought to look out for something in particular that you've seen.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, Alex Stripe from Stripe Inspections, like just get a really thorough home inspection done, because a lot of the time is some of the stuff that you like, it's just hidden stuff that you don't know about, like electrics in like houses and stuff. So like there are just fire hazards, those kind of things. Just get an inspection done in your house, like that kind of stuff. Like topography studies, if there's any water or rivers or quebradas, like
on the background,
creeks, like, or wells, like get those studies done of setbacks, because like it could really, like, especially on land, If there's water on land, then you need a thorough, analysis done. But on the homes, it's more of just like, is it within the limits? Does it have setbacks correctly? Did it get construction permits? That's always a good one. Because not many people check whether a construction got construction permits. They just go, oh, it's there. And it's like, that's great. But when you come to sell it, a good lawyer in this country is going to ask you for construction permits. And I think the thing I always just say to people with everything is trust but verify everything in Costa Rica. Like even with driving directions, ask 3 people. If 2 give you the same answer, that's probably the way. If you get 3 different answers, keep asking until you get 2 somewhat the same.
And the funny thing here in Costa Rica with directions is del antiguo palo de mangos, meaning from the old mango tree that was there 20 years ago.
Correct.
Mango tree is no longer there. There's like an office or a restaurant or whatever, and they still telling you that. So, verify. Always verify. In plenty of our podcasts, we always, we're no experts here in many of the topics that we have spoken. And we always say, hey, lawyer up. Make sure you have a good lawyer. Make sure you have a good team that does the homework. And even though if they do the homework, like try to check again.
Yep. I completely agree. I mean, a lot of the time we're checking work that's already been done, if that makes sense. Again, the Tiger Rock, as I like to call it. But having a great lawyer, and it's difficult because you get to Costa Rica, you don't really know anyone. You meet a realtor, you find a place, you fall in love. The realtor recommends a lawyer for you, if you know what I mean, and then you're there. And that's the difficult part, man. I mean, a lawyer has a fiduciary duty to you to do the right stuff, but you have to understand none of them get paid unless you buy.
Yeah.
So you just need to be a little bit cautious. And I'm not saying that, like, guys, be careful, everyone's trying to screw you. Just trust but verify everything.
Like we say in Costa Rica, ser malicioso.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can translate that. Like
Con malicia.
Sí, exactly. Like so think outside the box.
I mean,
maybe.
just the thing here is there's no recourse. Or there's very little recourse. Or if you want recourse, you have to go and hire a lawyer and it's going to take years. So knowing that there's no recourse, I think that I remember studying law, there's this saying in Latin, caveat emptor, buyer beware, always. It's like when you buy a secondhand car, as soon as you take possession of it, there's no guarantee. Like, it's your problem now. Anything that was wrong. So caveat emptor, buyer beware. Always be beware, of what you're about to do, because there really is sometimes no coming back. Maybe there is, but there probably is not. So we're just a pain in the butt, really, dude. For lawyers, for realtors, and we're just double check. As I say, their Jedi mind tricks don't work on us. Because a lot of the time when we're out with clients, we'll show them stuff that, because it's a weird world, real estate in Costa Rica. It's just disorganized. It's disorganized, decompartmentalized. There's no regulation. There's no nothing. Anyone can come here, throw a flag in the floor and say, I'm a realtor. And it's just, some realtors are going to give you the willies, as I like to say, and other realtors you're going to be like, that's a trustworthy person. Just understand they don't get paid until you buy.
Exactly.
And that's why when we do it, we're like, look, no, you have to pay us for for the front side, because then I'm not chasing commissions, if that makes sense. Because the moment I'm looking at the other side of the transaction, I'm not on your side. So a lot of the time when we're looking at places, we'll look at stuff and go, okay, that's a bit of an issue. That's a bit of an issue. And we won't say it, but once we get in the car with the client, we'll be like, look, you just need to bear in mind this, and this, I remember looking at a property once and on the back was like a shack and the realtor was like, no, they're going to knock that down and they're going to change it into something else or whatever. I'm like, if you need to know, can you live with it how it is today? Because if you can, that's fine. But don't buy something based on, that's going to be something in the future.
In the future.
It's not going to be. Probably, as I said here, don't buy a property in the southern zone of Costa Rica knowing that in, 10 years, the southern airport's going to be there.
I've been hearing about that since I moved 10 years ago.
In Orotina.
Oh, no, this is in Parma Sur.
Oh, yeah. Then I heard Orotina, then I heard this, that. So I've had clients come back to me, the airport. I'm like, don't believe it. Don't believe anything.
Yeah. I mean, don't speculate. This is not a great country. Yeah. I think the thing here, people are like, oh man, I mean, it must be Costa Rica's booming. It must be great to make money. I'm like, it's not easy to make money here, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. You'd be easier staying in your home country.
I love what he just said, because some people that see us might have heard say, well, I'm going to go out to Costa Rica and I'll make tons of money because I got money to invest and I'm going to double, triple my money.
No, man.
It doesn't work like that, man.
No, I mean, the quickest way they say to make $1 million in Costa Rica is come with 2 because you'll lose 1. I mean, it's just, if you don't know what you're doing, again, the game is different. Chess, checkers, it's different. The rules don't apply. If you come with
2,
you
lose 1, you have 1.
That's it, man. I mean,
I love it.
I mean, I've just seen so many people lose money here where I'm like, dude, if you'd have just hired us in 2 seconds, I could have just told you what to do and what not to do. Like, this country moves on tourism. The coastal areas of Costa Rica moves on tourism.
What you say, it applies so much to what I do too. As everybody knows, I own car rentals, Costa Rica and USA. And I just got back from the States on Tuesday.
Yep.
And I always fly with my shirt or my sweater that has the name of my company on my back. And as I'm going into the plane, this guy goes like, man, why every time I go to Costa Rica, I get screwed up on car rentals? Like I always get scammed. I was like, because you never call me.
Yep.
And then we started chatting, and then boom, I booked the car for him. And I got a text from him yesterday. He was like, hey, man, I never got a chance to thank you because renting with you was so easy. And people get scammed or people get ripped off because they don't do their homework. They don't do their due diligence. If they were to hire you or similar companies or whatever, do their homework, they will not lose the money that they lost.
We're a pain in the ass so that the client can enjoy their experience.
Yes. Exactly.
Like, of being like, look, you need to be aware of this. Land development here, even just building a house on it, is a lot more complicated than buying that something that already exists.
Mm-hmm.
But also is, I mean, we have a financial analyst full-time in our business so that any time a client's like, hey, I love this property, in 2 seconds, we can just run a cash flow analysis on it and give it to them and be like, look, this is what your investment looks like. Here's year 1 through year 5. We usually dampen the first couple of years because as a vacation rental, it's going to, you need to basically get the reviews, et cetera. And be like, this is what your cash flow is going to realistically look like. And then they're like, okay, property management company. Like, then we're able to analyze property management companies and go, okay, like these are the top performing ones in your area. And we also probably know most of them and go, this is probably the better fit for you. And these are the guys that you don't want to use because they're cowboys.
I call it like a shortcut. So whenever you hire a consultant, I do consulting. It's a shortcut. It's someone else being able to look at your situation who also, again, like I love that you guys are, paid up front essentially. And I don't think your fees are unreasonable either. I've seen so you guys are essentially paid up front so that you can just come in without, again, you're not trying to chase a commission, say, oh, buy this one so you can get that fatter commission. You're kind of looking at everything. Okay, you can look at things more from above, knowing them, their situation, exactly what they want. And that's a lot what we do too. We look at what the person wants. Here's how we're going to get you there. Yep. And that's great.
And this is good. And this is something I spoken with Sarah when we bring in guests. Like, don't give me much information about the guest because I like to seek it and find out while we speak.
Yep.
And the way that I see it, because we just met 20 minutes ago, the way that I see you're hired to protect me from making a mistake.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not trying to get a commission out of the realtor or whatever.
And I won't lie, sometimes we make commissions.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, we give any fees back. But I'll look on Facebook Marketplace, Encuentro 24, like we'll look at signs and call round. Like, if we don't make a commission, I don't mind because you've already paid me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But a realtor's not going to run out on Encuentro 24, which is like, I don't know what it would
the
be.
Craigslist of Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And find a property. And I'm like, I'm not going to complicate the sale by then having to explain to the seller, who might be Costa Rican, who's not used to paying commissions and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, there's a whole, underworld here in real estate where some companies don't get on, so they won't show each other's listings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those kind of, we'll show everything and anything, man. Like, the industry's still trying to figure out what we do. And I love that when people are like, I got no idea what you do. And I'm like, that's perfect. And everyone understands that because they're like, Rich, some point you're showing clients homes, and the next time you've got your boots on in a construction site doing an inspection, and then you're in a meeting with an architect, and I also see you running an investment fund, like
3 different things in.
Whoa, that's hands in a lot of different pots.
Yeah, I mean, and we just started a property management company for our own developments because I want to, like, there's a level of service that I know because I was in tourism for like 18 years, high-end tourism, where I was like, I know the expectations of that industry. And what people don't understand about Costa Rica is it runs based on travel agency companies. It's not OTAs. Travel agents run the luxury market here in Costa Rica. And a lot of companies like Andaz have come in here, and their first year, they were like, we don't need agents. By the end of the first year, they were like, please how do we get agents? You know, if they just, you need to understand how the industry works here.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like I'm cheating, man, because I understand tourism here better than most people, you know, because I mean, I think we managed, I mean, maybe in my 18 years, it was like $1 billion of vacation sales to Costa Rica, and that's all over the country. So I know where the money goes, where it doesn't go, what its average daily rates are, what the occupancies are, who the hotel owners are, what's coming in areas. So I just use that when I'm developing. And a lot of the time, I'm just trying to help the small guy. I want to raise the tide of Costa Rica. I want to help investors invest in things because, like, okay, you know, we'll build a house for $900,000, but like not everyone's got $900,000. But sometimes we'll go, you know what, we're going to chop it up into 9 shares of $100,000 because there are a lot of people out there with $100,000 to invest and want a piece of Costa Rica.
Yeah.
They don't, $100,000 doesn't get you anything in Costa Rica, really.
No.
You know,
a lot,
really,
No,
maybe.
not even a house.
You need a lot.
Not even a small
you
house.
might be able to get a house somewhere, but it's
a lot.
Going to be
Yeah, you can
a
get
house
a
that
lot.
that you're going to put on Airbnb.
But a built house.
not. And then you're like, okay, well, you know, 100,000 doesn't go that much in Costa Rica, but I kind of want to be part of it. I don't want the headache of owning it, but I want to say of like, look at this.
I own a share.
You know, I own a place in Costa Rica. I go down. I use it 5 nights per year in the off season. I have this great company which is connected into the travel network in Costa Rica that's managed multiple properties, and you know I get a great return every single year. Plus, at the end of 5 years, we sell the property, and then they get that return as well. You know, and it's people are like, Rich, this sounds too good to be true, and I'm like,
smart business.
I'm like, well, dude, it took me 20 years to get here. Like, let's not forget this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got a 22-year-old in my business at the moment. It's like gung ho to become a developer in Costa Rica, and I'm like, dude. You got to put in the years first. You don't just jump straight into this.
Like I say, you got to crawl before you walk and walk before you run.
Exactly.
That's it, man. You know, and it's like, I think that's a lot of the time if people don't see all the work that's gone in beforehand in order to get to where we are.
And that takes me back to what I said a few minutes back. Some people just say, well, I see what Rich is doing. I'm going to go and do the same thing. And they want to become millionaires within the next month or so. Or they want their business to expand and grow and be as big as you. But they don't know it took you 20 years to be to where you at. Nights where you didn't sleep.
Oh, God,
nights where, like, you have done the same. I've done the
years.
same. Like, exactly. Like, where I barely have 2 hours of sleep and then get back on the email, get back on the computer, on the phone, blah, 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 blah. It's not easy, man.
Man, I lost $1 million in my first project that I did. We built an 8-bedroom luxury villa. And we started construction in like 2006. We finished in 2008 and the market crashed. So I'm sitting with I overspent on it. You know, the builder like built 30% more than it. Like I had a crash course in how to lose $1 million in Costa Rica.
Damn.
Thank God I had the business in order to be able to support that, to go to the bank and get the loan. And then I turned it into a boutique hotel and it became one of the top boutique hotels in Central America. And then during the pandemic came, we were like, let's switch it back into a vacation rental with like some hotel amenities. And it made more money as a vacation rental with like breakfast, house mom, etc., than it did as a hotel. Because a hotel, I needed 13 to 15 staff.
Right.
As a vacation rental, I had 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, so my cost structure was different, but my nightly rate really wasn't that different. And I was like, wow, there's a model here. And that's the model I do now is just vacation rentals with hotel amenities. There are house mums, breakfast is included, everything. You know, there's transport all over, concierge. So I'm trying, you know, which I'm sure is driving the hoteliers nuts. After this, I get to go and sit with the hotel. Well, because they're all my buds.
Right.
So they're screaming about vacation rentals coming in because like in Uvita, you know, the number of vacation rentals like doubled over the last 2 years. So the hotels are crying there because their occupancy is down. They can't really change their average daily rates because their cost structures are so high. But a vacation rental doesn't really have one. So it can just drop its rates whenever it wants to. And so it's pulling away from the hotel industry here. So I'm kind of, you know, playing both sides on this stuff between hotels and vacation rentals and property managers going, guys, you need to understand this. And guys, you need to understand this.
Right.
You know, because if not, they're just going to fight, dude. Well, they're already fighting. But like, yeah.
This is so interesting. I got honestly listen to him talk for like hours.
Yeah.
This is really interesting.
Again, fingers in many pies, dude.
Yeah. It's like, you know how they say don't put all your eggs in one basket? Well, you got your eggs well spread.
Well, I don't though. It's all in Costa Rica.
That's true.
Like if I don't have like, you know, geographic diversification. I have diversification in the country, but if tourism drops like, you know, or stops tomorrow, like I'm screwed. Like I'm in the
God
industry.
forbid, man.
I'm
like,
venturing into Panama. I'll go and I'll report back. Okay, we'll talk about that.
I've done Panama. I've done Panama. We had a travel company in Panama. We had a real estate company in Panama. We had a hotel in Panama. Like that's tough. Like Panama is tough, man. Like you understand how great you've got it in Costa Rica
Oh.
and why all these multinational companies come here when you've done business in Latin America. Like Costa Rica is a paradise for doing business compared to, I had more issues with employees in 1 year in Panama than I did in 20 years in Costa Rica.
Wow. That's interesting.
It's a different world though, you know, because Panama City is like, it's Panama City and then that's really it, if that makes sense. And that is a bustling, and they don't care about tourism really. I mean, they'll say every so often they do, but like their money is banking, it's the canal, you know,
corporate.
It's international trade, corporate. Like, so when you come in there as tourism, like that country's not set up, but also it's suffered, you know, with Noriega and like you've got all, you know, it's very indigenous as well. Costa Rica had none of that. Like it's chill here, man. I mean, it's always been.
It's
like,
very pura vida.
It's pura, but like when have Ticos ever suffered?
Well, we never had war. I mean,
But when have you ever suffered like here?
Not for a long time.
But when was the last time? 46 with the Civil War, but like it was like 2,000 people that died, right? It wasn't a proper civil. I say a proper civil war.
well,
as if you
the
can
fight
measure that,
against
but
Nicaragua with Juan Santa Maria and all that, but
it's been a very quiet, peaceful country,
oh yeah, it is.
and that's why I say is I'm like its greatest asset is its people.
Yeah,
You know, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
like you know when you start traveling, of like you're like, wow, Costa Rica really is a special place.
I went for my 5th anniversary to República Dominicana, and I have this big tattoo on my back that says "Pura Vida."
Yep.
With like animals and rainforests and waves and everything. And I'm at a hotel bar, and this lady comes like, "Hey, are you from Costa Rica?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can tell from your tattoo. What are you doing here in Dominican Republic when you have such a beautiful place in Costa Rica?" I'm like, "Well, I just want to visit other countries, you know." But then we started talking, and she's like, "Yeah, Costa Rica is a paradise. Costa Rica is like one of my favorite places. If I was you, I would travel like all around Costa Rica and blah, 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 blah." It's what you say. And the people. The people is the biggest asset.
People's everything, man.
Yes.
You can have the most beautiful country, but if the people aren't nice, like I went to Egypt, man, that place is nuts. But the people, no thanks, man. Like I'm not going back. Like it's a beautiful, but I'm like, they don't really care about what they've got, you know? But yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, Costa Rica is just kind of, I say sometimes, I'm like, Costa Rica woke up one day and realized that it had penicillin. Like it wasn't planned. It was just like, we got penicillin. Like, oh my God. Like they woke up and were like, well, we've got this amazing country with amazing people and kind of it's all come together. Like there was no plan. Like sometimes I'm sure people in tourism would be like, no, in the 80s, we had a plan to turn Costa Rica into the eco. I'm like, well, okay. Like you had a general direction of where it was go, but there was no plan written down on paper. I'm still yet to see that. But like it's that boutiqueness and like organic development of Costa Rica. And I think we should go back to the no artificial ingredients or like 100% organic. Because I think it's like this, not that anything's wrong with essential Costa Rica, but like it really doesn't sum up Costa Rica. Whereas like go back to the 90s again, man. No artificial ingredients. Like it's raw and it's organic, or find a way to play with that. But like that's the beauty of this country, man. It's organic and it developed organically. You know, and it's such a mess that like it's difficult to not do it. As you said there, like it's so bureaucratic sometimes.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. I always say I'm glad it's tough. Because if it was easy, we'd be developing like crazy, man. True. I love it's tough because only the good ideas get through, man. Like you got to really want to do it in this country, man. Like really want to do it. Because if it's for money, go to North America or Europe. You know, like you've got to want to really do something in Costa Rica and want this lifestyle to do it here, man. Because there are a lot easier ways to make money.
Yeah, it'll weed certain people and things out for sure.
Natural filter.
It's got a very good natural filter. I remember I came down here, I felt like I'd been slapped around so hard within my first, year or 2 years, and then I was like, okay, I'm still, you get up, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And then the clouds start to part, and it's like, all right, now things, you still have challenges, but they're good challenges. But man, I got slapped around quite a bit here. But I didn't go home, and I just stuck it out. But not everyone's going to last for sure. And that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's it.
It's not for everyone.
I have a saying I love, man. I got tons of sayings. My guys love it sometimes, but I'm sure that they hate it. But like extraordinary things are done by ordinary people doing ordinary tasks over an extraordinarily long period of time. And most people don't want to do ordinary tasks over an extraordinarily long period of time. But if you want to do something extraordinary, unfortunately, that's what you got to do. But the world keeps feeding you of like, hey, dude, make an app. Tomorrow you're going to make $1 billion. And I'm like, that's great, dude, but it's 1 in a billion.
Right.
Like if you want to do something great, like dedicate your life to something for like 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah. Which is what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Which is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I can identify with that.
Own that
because
space.
I've been offered to do a bunch of different stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm sticking to what I'm doing. I'm sticking to what I do, to what I know that I am good at. And once after like 25 years or so, then I'll open up to do different stuff because I want to be the very best at what I do.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. It's been, 30 minutes so fast. We can talk to this guy for hours.
I know.
So we want to have you for our next week's episode again.
Awesome.
If you have the time, we would love to have you again because I believe we can learn a lot from you, man.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm happy to share my knowledge for what it's worth.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Richard. Everybody, I hope you guys got something out of this. I know it was kind of like a hodgepodge of information. So I imagine next week's episode will also just be focusing on real estate and investment. So if that's something you're interested in.
If you have questions in our Instagram, drop them off in Pura Vida Perspectives, and we can follow up on that or put you in contact with Rich.
Absolutely. If you need someone to manage your project or figure out what kind of investments you want to invest in, or like I said, he's got some amazing real estate consultants that I've had some of my clients work with. They've been really happy with them. They really know their stuff. Like they just come in, they want the best for you, and yay for good ethics in Costa Rica. I was going to get excited.
All right, Pura Vida.
Bye.
Bye.
Esto fue una producción de La Resortera.